Alright, I am back with another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Nothing has happened, to get that out of the way first, other than we are in a new year now, 2022, and officially in the window in which we are supposed to get the big next-gen update for the game and a big patch and some other things that is supposed to be in the Q1 2022 window. This is also the year where, I don't know if they've said this outright, but allegedly we are supposed to be getting the first kind of actual big paid DLC pack for the game, which CDPR has been working on for a while now already. I don't know if that's officially been dated 2022 yet, but I figure it probably is going to be out this year, probably towards the tail end of the year, given how scheduling has gone on these things so far. But these are both things I wanted to talk about because I feel like 2022 might be a kind of significant year for Cyberpunk 2077, even though it'll be, 2 years after it's out, and 2021 was a series of ups and downs, mostly downs, but we came into a situation where a lot of people got their hands on the game kind of in this fall or this winter on sale, and they found either that it was more playable in the last gen version, maybe since launch, given the technical fixes that CDPR has been doing, and on PC, if you played it there, it's actually kind of great in a lot of ways. It's a really gorgeous game if you have a good PC to run it, and there's a lot of kind of core essentials about the game where there's a lot to like. It is still missing a ton of stuff. Enemy AI, police AI, car chases don't exist, life paths don't do anything, but there is a core to the game where there are some good storylines, good NPCs. I personally like gameplay, even if it's a bit on the easy side. But I think there's Cyberpunk get a little bit of like a moment of like, actually, like, people dismiss this and it's worth checking out. I think that is going to be amplified in 2022. And I think this is going to happen possibly in two places, maybe just one over the other, but there are going to be probably two significant moments for Cyberpunk 2077 this year that I just mentioned. So let's go through them. It is the next gen release, which I would assume is not going to be until March. When they say Q1, given that this is CDPR and their scheduling so far, you would imagine that is going to be toward the end of that spectrum rather than the beginning. They would be very stupid to launch it in mid to late February, where there is a massive crush of games coming in all at the same time. The biggest of which being Elden Ring, but also Horizon Forbidden West, and then in the Destiny sphere, The Witch Queen. All within about a week, 10 days of each other, so that's not really a window you want to be in. March has some things, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Saints, I don't know where Saints Row moved, but it's less stuff in March, so that's just going to kind of be my guess. I also feel like this is going to be kind of a soft relaunch of the game, so the objectives here, I think, are going to be to create an experience on PS5 and Xbox Series X that is going to be maybe not fully on par with what we see with PC performance, but very close to it. And I think once console players kind of see that level of fidelity of what the game could play like and could look like, that is going to be a pretty significant moment for the game, because for now only PC players have been able to experience that, and like PS5 players are playing the PS4 Pro up converted version of Cyberpunk, which is fine. Like I played the 1X version converted to Series X, and like it's okay. It's just nothing really to write home about in terms of visuals. But if they can get some of that PC fidelity onto console, that is going to be a moment where people are going to be like, wow, okay, this game actually looks kind of incredible, and like it plays smoother now, and all of these things that will hopefully arrive at that. This will also mark the arrival of a big 1.5 patch. We have heard pretty much nothing official about what is going into this patch. We know that in the last patch, or last few patches, Cyberpunk has been kind of overhauling a lot of its fundamental underpinning systems of the game. There are rumors that there is going to be a larger scale rework of like police and enemy AI and things like that, but we don't have any kind of firm details about what exactly is being changed. I would expect 1.5 to be kind of the last super big patch for the base game. Whether it's performance or bug fixes or quality of life stuff, and then I think they're going to kind of move full steam ahead to working on the DLCs. they've already kind of indicated that they're starting to shift over to that to begin with, and I think that is going to be kind of the last hurrah for like, okay, we fixed the base game enough, and now we're moving on to new stuff. I also think in the same patch that they would be smart to bundle it with a good amount of the promised free DLCs that they originally were advertising were supposed to be out pretty much a year ago. The original plan was like the first few months of 2021 we were going to bring these free DLCs, and yet that was delayed for forever, indefinitely, essentially. We did squeak out 3 or 4 free DLCs by the end of the year. That was 2 jackets, 1 car, and 1 alternate outfit for Johnny. All of these are terrible. The jackets aren't that cool. The car is not cool. The alternate look for Johnny is empirically worse than the normal Johnny look. Even CDPR said that on stream. But there is, we've seen kind of at least what were the alleged leaks of the free DLC ahead of time. And there's the things that have not come out yet appear to be some sort of weapon packs for different styles of weapons, so new weapons. Mission gig packs in different regions kind of around the map. Probably not anything more than like, 3 or 4 new gigs total, which is not a ton, but it would be something new to play going alongside the kind of soft relaunch aspect for if people want to return to the game. And then I fundamentally believe that they are going to do New Game Plus with that. So if you have played it on last-gen consoles, that would be the perfect moment to be like, okay, I'm going to give it another shot on new gen, and I'm going to start over or with my existing character and do New Game Plus and kind of, relive the experience, but upgrade stuff even more and get even more weapons and armor and whatever. I think that would be a prime time to launch New Game Plus. I am less sure about other things. I don't know if this is the patch that's going to bring like the barbershop or the tattoo parlor or the cybernetics thing where you can like change your appearance after launch, which has been a common request, and there may be some kind of minor things that people don't. Some of these things are kind of hard to parse out. Like there's a DLC leaked thing called Monster. Like, is that a mission? Is that a car? I think it's a car. But and then there's one called Mirror. I don't know what that means either. There's a few where we kind of don't know the full extent of what's coming. But my guess is that they are probably going to bundle a lot of those together, because by the time, if it is March where that comes out and it's not this month and not February, like that is going to be a long time since their last patch. Probably the longest break they've had in between patches or hotfixes in the game. So I expect kind of a lot from that. The second thing here is what we're assuming will come later in the year, which is the paid DLC. This also seems like a good moment for the game to kind of fix what ails it to a certain extent, and if it can launch a totally new kind of large mission chain, that would go a long way to kind of reclaim the narrative and give people fully new content to play under the new system where the game is not breaking all the time, with all these quality of life changes, with these other additions, and have it be kind of like a good first experience for new content going forward. The obvious comparisons here are something like the Witcher 3 DLCs, which were Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. Blood and Wine especially was massive. Hearts of Stone was huge. Like, those were almost full games in their own right, and I think players are hoping that CDPR is going to put out something of comparable scale and quality. We don't know that, and nothing about Cyberpunk has been of comparable scale and quality to The Witcher, so I don't know if that's reasonable to guess, but I would hope at this point, like, that's CDPR understands they need something like that to debut, and that could help kind of change the narrative and go back to like, oh yeah, like CDPR like is really good at like those DLCs are kind of the gold standard of all post-launch DLC. Like, they are massive things that are longer than most other people's entire games. Like, I don't know if I'm expecting something at that level, but it would be nice to kind of have something of a very large scale. Some of the rumors surrounding this, one of them is that a lot of it will be based in Pacifica, because that's a region of the game that was not really fleshed out. Like, there's barely anything that happens in Pacifica other than a very short kind of mission chain there. And that indications are there was like a lot of cut content from that corner of the map. The other thing is that there's not necessarily going to be new zones. Like, we're going to just keep the existing Night City map in the desert. It's just that there might be more kind of density packed into it, like more, big buildings open up and those are part of missions, or things like that. But not just like, oh, we're discovering this new region of this new sub-town outside of the city, or it seems like it will be kind of layered on top of existing stuff. That's, I think, kind of all we know. Like, there's just people guessing about Rogue AIs or Morgan Blackhand, or like just things that were mentioned in the game that don't really come up again. I personally think it would be a big mistake to not have these DLCs based either around Judy or Panam as a main character. There's going to be 2 DLCs. If they devoted one to each, I think that would be great. Not that they have to be the only character in it, but I think they should be kind of a part of it. I think Judy and Panam are the 2 best kind of NPC creations to come out of Cyberpunk. I think those characters in particular did a extremely good job of kind of realizing the good aspects of CDPR's script, whether those were friendships, depending on your gender, or relationships. Those were excellent parts of the game. I do not know how much Johnny will be involved. So allegedly, one of the other rumors is that these DLCs will take place before the point of no return. Like, it'll be V going off on some sort of like side mission distraction thing that will not revolve around like, oh, what ending did you pick, or things like that. It will all take place kind of with the current form of V before she meets Hanako at Embers, which is the mission everyone kind of just beats once and stops at, or beats the alternate endings. So we'll see. I don't know if Keanu Reeves will be back for this. Like, obviously he's their biggest star, and he has been a little busy lately with the whole Matrix revival thing. And I don't know if he'll be kind of a significant part of that, but the rest is just kind of speculation. But if that goes well, I believe that will be a second potential big moment for the game. And if they can avoid like any just large scale disasters with the next gen launch with the new patch and hopefully free DLC, and then paid DLC launch, like, I think this could really be kind of the start of the realization of their goal to sell longer term tail copies of Cyberpunk. They have said this for a long time now. They don't want to go on Xbox Game Pass. They've pretty much said that outright. They are trying to build out the base game into something that people want to just purchase. And so, I mean, Cyberpunk is on sale like all the time now. For this whole fall, you could get it for like $10, the physical copy at most retailers. Digitally, it's usually like half off these days. So remember, if you buy a last gen copy, it is a free upgrade still to the next gen copy. So I think they're trying to increase sales of the base game, and then build on top of that with some sort of full price DLC. You know, I don't know, that'll be $20, $25, $30, $40, whatever it'll be, but something of hopefully, you know, size enough and substance enough to justify that price. So I'm actually like somewhat optimistic about the state of Cyberpunk in 2022, just given that it has not really like 1 but 2 whole chances to potentially kind of turn the narrative around. And it's like, things can't get worse than the way they were, you know, at launch or for the first 6, 7, 8 months after launch. It's kind of only uphill from here, and CDPR has like made it very clear that they are not in fact abandoning Cyberpunk to work on new things. The majority of their studio is still working on Cyberpunk, still working on these big DLCs. So that tells me that there is going to be a significant amount of changes and content that come to the game over the next year or two. After that, I mean, I guess we'll see. But so those are my initial thoughts. I'm hoping that we get some sort of information here soon, or a roadmap that isn't the most nebulously vague, terrible thing on the planet, but I have no hopes for that given how things have gone so far. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Cyberpunk for the coming year, but hopefully we'll have something more substantial to talk about soon. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.